Bon Appetit, Your Majesty, and The Beast Within Me. These two shows seemingly have nothing in common other than Netflix being their distributor, but I haven't been able to get their endings out of my head. And not because I found them groundbreaking and compelling, but because they had such shit endings. I hate being invested in storylines, taken to the highest of heights, awaiting a satisfying climax only to be let down by incomplete stories with plot holes or missing information. So, in today's video, I'd like to discuss my issues with the shows because my mom's tired of my complaining. Starting with Bon Appetit, Your Majesty. And a brief synopsis so we're all on the same page. And my apologies if I pronounce anything incorrectly, I'm trying. So we're following our main character, Yeonji Young, and she's a brilliant chef. She's just won this international competition. She's got some prize money, and she's gotten a position as a head chef at a three-star French restaurant. She's basically on top of the world, and in the midst of her celebration, her father requests she returns with a Korean artifact, which his friend, who's a professor, is going to send with her on her flight to South Korea. The passenger next to her spills coffee on the package, and we're stressing, Pella, this is a historical artifact and you can't get coffee stains off of paper. As she is inspecting the pages, mystical things start happening, a solar eclipse, glowing pages, and she's thrown into the past. Specifically, the Joseon period, which is 1392 to 1910. But we're in the period where King Yon Sang-un was ruling, which is 1494 to 1506. So this is loosely based off of real historical events, which I thought was cool. We get to learn more about South Korean history. And the show takes us through her trying to survive as the king's royal chef and her journey to getting back to the present. It's a really funny show, and I really enjoyed the balance between the cooking, the politics, and the romance. And I was having a great time watching the first 11 episodes of the show, and then everything went left with the final episode. Like I said before, the events of the show are loosely based on true historical events, and our main character is aware of this. I'm just going to put a pin in that, but she is aware. She falls in love with the king, which is like giving me my first okay, like what's happening? We're told during his reign he commits the Caption Literati purge, and this is to avenge his mother who was poisoned and deposed. And he kills a bunch of ministers and a bunch of scholars, which is why it's the Literati purge. And he also commits what's called the Chaon, where he forces the ministers to send their daughters to be part of his consort. But it wasn't just the ministers, it was women who were of a certain age, but his main targets were the ministers. So, first of all, this is my first complaint, and this is more towards the king, not necessarily the writing. Like, this wasn't very smart of him. Like, I love rooting for a baddie, but you have to be a baddie with a good plan. Like, why would you piss off the entire nation by taking their daughters? Like, why make it obvious who your enemies are? Like, you're just making it easy for them to depose you. And the king was overly emotional. Like, he constantly had these rage fueled fits, and he just seemed like somebody who wasn't fit to rule the kingdom. Like, I don't know, I like people who are conniving and like they think things through. And we hate these characters, but the prince and consort Kang are great examples of what I'm talking about. The consort was just evil, but she always had a plan and was controlling things behind the scenes. And the prince was a conniving dickhead, but he played the role of a fool in front of people so that he wasn't obvious when he did take over. Like, the king's plan for me was just overly emotional and it wasn't very well thought out. Even his own trusted guards had been affected by the Chaon, attempted to assassinate him because he thought that the king had something to do with his sister's killing, but it was actually Consort Kang. But still, you see, like, this misunderstanding could have been avoided, and he's just making a mess of himself. Mind you, knowing all of this, Bestie, she falls in love with the king and she never warns him. She knows he's going to get killed, but she just like never mentions this. Who does this make sense to? She even receives a message from one of the other chefs, and she never passes on this message of warning to the king. She even sees him go mad and try and kill his grandmother in front of everyone, and she still doesn't tell him. And this just, it pisses me off so bad, especially when my faves were dying, like the chief eunuch and this lady. Like, it really broke my heart when they died. Even his advisors' deaths made me sad. Although they were annoying, I still didn't want to see them die like that. I just felt anger towards the main character because this could have been avoided. And I'll give them a little bit of leeway here. Like, maybe they wanted to keep the massacre historically accurate, to have some drama, but we still could have warned the king and like had a plan and then just had everything go wrong anyway and make it like a history repeats itself. A time travel is not going to change these events. Something, man, just not what they gave me. And that wasn't even my biggest grievance, it was the time traveling magic. We never get an explanation for this. I'm not one of those people that needs a detailed explanation of every single detail, but you need to give me enough clues to reach my own conclusions that still align with the plot. But it made no sense to the point where it took me out of the story. Like, how is this book from the past written by the king for our main character? Like, we see him throughout the show writing about her recipes. We know he's the one who wrote the recipes in the book, but they're modern recipes with modern tools, modern ingredients. Like, how how does this work? It just makes it makes no sense. Like, is she a reincarnation from her past life? But then that doesn't make sense because how did her past self know the modern day techniques and recipes? Like, and then with the teleporting, I understand it's magic, but there's no consistency to the magic. The solar eclipse took her to the past, but then a blood moon brings her back to the future, and the blood moon just appeared out of nowhere. Like, did her dying influence the moon's change? But like, how? And it really irritates me because this is the only instance of magic in the entire show. Everything else is like real world logic. So how does the moon change because of her death? Like, why did it transport her to the future like in the first place? Why did she go into the past? And the worst offense for me is once she's sent back to the present, we just get no explanations. Like, how is she in the hospital when the last place we saw her was a plane? She did fly into a mirror when she like went into the past. So her injuries from the past still being there makes sense. But how much time has passed? Like, what about her job in France that she worked so hard for? Mind you, she just gives that up to work at a restaurant in South Korea. And like, okay, maybe the events of the past like changed her mind, but why is the staff at the new South Korean restaurant her previous chomis from the royal kitchen? Like, are these incarnations as well? Are they descendants? Did they also go into the future but without their memories? Like, who are these people? And what happened to them in the past? Because they were literally fighting on the side of a deposed king. Wouldn't they be seen as traitors? Did the queen figure out it was all a scheme? Because she was pretty shocked throughout like the events that happened, and she seemed to be smart throughout the series, and she would put two and two together. And in my opinion, when the prince was telling her everything that happened, it seemed like she suspected something wasn't right. And don't get me started on the king who time traveled. Like, how did he time travel? We saw a page that fell out of this magic book, but wouldn't you need the whole book? Like, is all that's needed a page? Are they linked by destiny? Is it the universe? Maybe the book doesn't even matter. Like, how did he travel to the future, and why were we robbed of seeing his first moments in 2025? I'm assuming it's in 2025. He has a modern hairstyle, he's acting a little bit normal, he has a suit. Where did he get the suit? Where did he get the money to get the suit? Where has he been staying this whole time? How did he react to seeing cars and skyscrapers, the way women dress? Like, You build up this incredible story throughout 11 episodes, and then you just throw everything away with this rushed final episode. Like, why? And most Korean shows I watch are 16 episodes, and to me, the 16 episodes never feel dragged out. It's a nice, tight story. So, why didn't the show get 16 episodes? I really think they would have benefited from that. They could have fleshed out the politics a little bit more and the fallout from the events thereafter. The budget didn't seem to be a problem. The sets, the costumes, acting, everything was just on point. So, what was the issue? And I don't want to be a negative Nancy. Like, not everything was terrible. Like, the cast did a really excellent job. My favorite character, other than Yeon Jiang, was Kilkum. I don't know how to say her name. Like, even throughout the show, it was confusing me. But that's my sister. Like, it's me and her against the world. Like, I loved her so much. And I really wanted to know what happened with her and the king's guard. Like, did they get together? They seem to have something going on. We don't even see the king's guard, like, in the present. So, yeah, very annoying. But let's move on to The Beast in Me, another letdown. So we're following a novelist, Aggie, who, after the heights of her autobiography, is gearing up for her next release, but she's struggling with writer's block. And that's not all. Like, it seems like the doll is really going through a lot. She's recently divorced, her son has passed away, she has a bunch of overdue invoices, and there's sewage water leaking out of everywhere. It's disgusting, it's bad. She's in a terrible way. She gets a new neighbor, Niall Jarvis, who is a business tycoon, and he's suspected of killing his wife. The show has us following her as she tries to solve the mystery of did he do it? She's writing a autobiography on him because he's so interesting, and she also suspects him of being behind the disappearance of the man who killed her son. So she's basically trying to get another bestseller writing about him, but she's also solving mysteries around him. So this one also had fantastic build up, the mystery of did he do it? There's a point in the story where you're like, maybe he didn't do it, and then you get to a point where you're like, yeah, he definitely did it, but then, like, how? Where's the lady's body? Fantastic build up, and then the show also again just loses me with the final episode. So he's exposed for killing his wife after his current wife submits a record of him confessing to the murder, and his uncle also turns against him and submits evidence of his crimes. We're never shown the evidence that was submitted, and that really pissed me off. Like, Niall has killed several people. Like, did they find all their bodies? Was there maybe DNA evidence? Was he secretly recording him when he was helping him cover up all these crimes? Like, why are we flying past this? Like, what happened to Benitez? She betrays her base by making nice with the enemy. Like, I really wanted to see the fallout after announcing the deal with Jarvis Yards and then having him arrested for murder at that same conference. Like, what was everybody's reaction to her? Did they find Detective Brian's body as well? Like, was that part of the evidence that was submitted? What happened with the crooked FBI agent, Erica, that was feeding them all the information? Like, was she discovered? Was that also part of the evidence that the uncle submitted? Because he was directly working with her. And, like, what about Aggie and when she was arrested? Like, we literally don't see her in jail suffering, or how she felt when she was in jail, how she felt when she got out of jail. What was her publisher's reaction? What was her ex-wife's reaction? Because she thought she was nuts and she was making all this stuff up. Like, I feel this was like such a lost opportunity to really go into the whole spiel of she was framed and now she's vindicated and now she's going to release this book and it's going to be a tell-all. Like, why wouldn't you give us that information? And what happened with Madison's family? Like, this is literally my biggest question mark. They literally had a major plot point about the entire savings and fortune that was put into Jarvis Yards. Like, they even denied their daughter being murdered by him for the sake of not facing the truth because they'd lose all their family fortune. What happened with Jarvis Yards? Like, did it continue, but it was moved to other shareholders? Did they lose all their fortune? Did they feel guilty about not investigating their daughter's death? Like, oh, yeah, 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 yeah. And I was so disgusted with this family. Like, I really wanted to see what happened, like, after all of this. Deep breath, deep breath. I need to calm down because it's not that serious. Like, when I was complaining to my mom about all of this, because we watched both of the shows together, she was like, it's the creator's work and we have to accept what we're given and there's nothing that we can do. You need to let the mouse go. But I've invested my time and my emotions into these shows, and I feel like I'm allowed to be upset about receiving a shit product. I'm also really upset because I watched these shows back to back, so to me, it just felt like, what the hell is going on Netflix? It's like I was losing my mind, and these are the only Netflix shows I've watched for the year. So it felt like a Netflix problem. Like, what the hell's happening there by Netflix headquarters? Afterwards, I had to cleanse my palate. So if you've watched these shows and you're looking for something enjoyable to watch that actually delivers, I would suggest the Apothecary Diaries. It's really good. Like, I am Mau Mau Nation. Like, that is my girl. I'm dying for her. Anyway, I had to vent. Like, there's no neat way to tie all of this up because what's done is done. All I can do is just grab my pitchfork and rage. And that's why I created this channel, to speak about things that moved me, be it positively or negatively. But please let me know if you think maybe I'm being too hard on these shows. Maybe there's something I missed. Like, did I just not get the endings? Am I thinking too deeply into it? What were your thoughts? And thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.